Was Kansas a good race? Kyle Larson absolutely dominates the day, and Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, let's talk about him real quick. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Your boy got very sunburned on Sunday. Very sunburned. I had a sun shirt on, took it off. I was like, oh yeah, I put sunscreen on. Wrong. No, I didn't. I absolutely did not. I'm stupid. I'm really dumb when it comes to that. And I got toasted, fried, like Red Lobster. Not a great look for me, but I was able to watch the race from a beach, looking out at, well, one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's a heck of a way to watch a Kansas race for the NASCAR Cup Series. A Kansas race that we had high expectations for because it's a Gen 7 race on an intermediate. Kansas has been putting on absolute banger races recently. Was Sunday's race at Kansas a good race? I'm going to give this race a 76. By Kansas standards, it wasn't the best that we've ever seen, especially not in the Gen 7 era. We certainly have seen better races, and it all kind of stems down to just Kyle Larson dominating the day. Overall, this race wasn't bad by any means. There was certainly a lot of passing to be had, but it was just really one dominant car at the front, that being Kyle Larson. Not even the Wicked Witch of the West could have stopped Kyle Larson on Sunday at Kansas. He leads 221 of 267 laps. He wins stage 1, wins stage 2, wins the race, gets fastest lap, records the first ever 61-point race for the NASCAR Cup Series, won the pole on Saturday as well. If there was anything to win for the Cup Series on Sunday or this weekend in Kansas, Kyle Larson was going to do it. Overall, though, like I said, the race wasn't necessarily bad. We got started off early on lap 6. AJ Allmendinger blows up and then just yells FECR on the radio. And then, as the kids say, crashed out like he was Kurt Busch on the radio, just screaming the F word, MFing ECR. He wasn't even keying up the mic. The in-car camera with the microphone, which is meant for picking up engine noise and everything like that, was picking up AJ just screaming into the mic, in the car, not even in the mic. Just a wild day for him. Not great. I'm sure Pop and everybody in welcome probably not psyched to hear him yell that. Stage number 1 also had William Byron, who was a contender for probably a top 5 finish on Sunday. It had him spin out, cut a tire down, spins out coming to pit road. No caution for that. Pits. Crew member pulls the tire off, doesn't have his gloves on because, hey, it happened there. Pretty bang, gets these big blisters on his fingers, and, Jamie Little talks to him and everything like that. Just dedication for him. Kyle Larson goes on to win stage number 1. And it's like, all right, this might be the Kyle Larson show, but hey, maybe somebody else can get up there. Chase Elliott finished second. Chase fans, let's step down off the ledge, right? He's turning in a good result. To which the Chase Elliott fans on the internet were like, no. We've seen this before. We are not ready to say that, hey, this is going to be a good race for us just yet. And it turns out they were actually correct, but not for the reasons that they all thought. They thought Allen was going to be the one to mess it up. It wasn't Allen that messed it up this time around, at least not in their eyes. In stage number 2 was much of the Kyle Larson show. Once again, just kind of dominating the race. Denny Hamlin, though, had a bad pit stop, and then we also found out that, hey, he's also having clutch issues as well, and he was having to rev the piss out of that thing to try to get it to go, which can work for the most part, but with a sequential gearbox, you gotta really match up the RPMs really, really well, or else you're gonna tear that thing apart, and that's a bit of foreshadowing for the future, because guess what? Tore itself apart. Stage number 2, though, finishes with Kyle Larson winning the stage once again. Chase Elliott chased him down, works out pretty well there with his name, and ultimately Larson had to block him there at the end, as he didn't want Chase to win that stage, and also was trying to battle everybody else there. I think Noah Gragson was trying to roll the top as well. Mike Joy really wanted to have that actually be a storyline. Wasn't as much as he wanted it to be. Mike Joy, I feel like has gotten okay over the last couple weeks. He's still missing things, but I think that Mike Joy is really emphasizing why, like white, why, things like that. I think he's emphasizing the WH way more than he ever has, and it honestly takes me right out of it, because I immediately just start thinking about Family Guy or Hot Rod, where he's like, why am I saying what way? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because I'm not from the South, but it certainly is something that catches my ear. Stage number 3, though, Chase Elliott gets the lead off of pit road. Hey, that number 9 team really turned it around. Didn't turn it around later in the race, but that's a different story. The people over at Hendrick still going to get that race win bonus, though, because Kyle Larson got it done for him. Chase takes the lead on the restart, leads 29 laps, like I said. Kyle Larson fell back to 3rd. Who passed him for 2nd? Brad Keselowski, who on TikTok this week I asked if he was washed or not. Turns out that 6 car had a ton of speed. He was reeling in Chase Elliott. Was this going to be the day that Brad gets it turned around? What is this, 2011 once again, where he just pops off and wins randomly at Kansas and kind of writes the whole season from that? No, it would not be. He would ultimately cut a tire down, crash into the wall. His day done from that. Heartbreaking for Brad. Just an absolutely brutal season so far. We can't even say start to the season. We're 12 races into the season now. This has just been a terrible run for him up to this point. He's 32nd in points. Just a bad run for him. Stage number 3, cautions, precautions. Like we always hear, we did have a number of other random cautions as well. You had Cody Ware get into it with Daniel Suarez, as well as Ty Dillon. Then you had Justin Haley get turned around. Kyle Busch got bodied off the corner, and he spun out as well. Just a couple of small, random incidences here. Bubba Wallace got caught up in 2 of those wrecks, I believe, and then ultimately got his 4th DNF of the season. Sucks for them, considering they've been really consistent at scoring points this year. Stage point merchant, as one person said, but hey, it's kept him up there, and it's something that team typically doesn't do to start off season, so good for them. Then, as the race wound down there, Josh Berry got a speeding penalty. I'm pretty sure he drove through the field twice on Sunday. That 21 car had a ton of speed. We've come to expect speed out of that car, which is kind of a crazy thing to say considering the last couple of seasons that they've had, but that car is definitely going to victory lane again this season. Joey Logano kind of got up in the mix for a little bit, but ultimately was just going to always be Kyle Larson, barring a late race restart, setting up something wild there at the end. Larson goes on to win his 3rd Cup win of the season. 221 laps leading on Sunday, just a wild number as well. But hey, for him, dominating performance helps get his next 2 weeks off to a great start. He's got Indy 500 practice starting on Tuesday, Indy 500 qualifying, and the All-Star race next weekend. And then he has, of course, the Indianapolis 500 and the Coke 600 doubleheader 2 weeks from now. Kind of crazy that it's gotten here this quickly, but great start for his run for him. All right, last thing we want to talk about here, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott. 2 guys that really are trying to, one needs to turn his season around, that being Brad Keselowski. The other one has had a great point season so far. He just has a fan base that is just absolutely obsessive, and they're like, hey, we got to make this, get back to victory lane. And for Chase, he teased his fans once again, right? He's trying to finish off that 37 race winless streak, now 38 race winless streak, but he ultimately left his fans with blue balls once again on Sunday. Apropos, considering his car was very blue with that Prime sponsorship. And he got close in stage 1, he got close in stage 2, and he was leading in stage number 3. That car had a ton of speed. It wasn't Allen's fault this time, and it was just a bad pit stop, 14 seconds pit stop, that ultimately doomed him and cost him a race win there. But I think for Elliott fans, they have to be encouraged by this. I hope they're encouraged by this. I hope they've taken a step down off that ledge. I hope they're not ready to throw the toaster into the bathtub with themselves. I think it's going to be okay. And you have the Coke 600 coming up in 2 weeks on a mile and a half, a place where Hendrick Motorsports has had a lot of speed in the Gen 7 era, a place that Chase Elliott has had speed before, has gone to victory lane at the Oval at Charlotte. So maybe, just maybe, he can get it done. But if I was a Chase Elliott fan, and I think Chase Elliott fans should feel pretty good about this, I would be encouraged by his running. Meanwhile, you have Brad Keselowski, who, like I said, has had no top 5s, no top 10s, 3 top 20 finishes this year. Now 9 finishes of 26 or worse, I believe is what that number is. 32nd in points. And a really promising day ends up being a really, really bad day for that 6 team. And it sucks because that's a team that needed to get a turnaround. They had the turnaround happening. It was happening in real time. For as much, criticism as Jeremy Bullins has received, myself and others over the last couple of weeks, he had that 6 car absolutely rolling on Sunday. Ultimately cuts a tire down, and that's the end of the day. Whether it was because they pushed it with low tire pressures and, that hurts the construction of the tire and then ultimately will fail later on down the road like we saw happen with William Byron and others in practice on Saturday. Not really sure. Maybe he had a piece of debris on the racetrack. Again, not sure how exactly it got cut down there, but man, does it suck to see that happen to Brad, especially at a time where he really needed to have a good run. So hopefully they can get everything turned around. They've got, of course, the All-Star race next weekend and then, the Coke 600 after that. But right now, they are in a must-win scenario if they want to make the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row, that being Brad Keselowski. Chase Elliott is in a really good spot to make the playoffs as it currently stands. So let me know in the comments, what would you rate this race? What are your thoughts on the race, as well as Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski? Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @BreakHardBlog.